Welcome to Seize the Mains Daily Answer Writing by Malhotra's IS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and I'm taking this lecture discussion on UPSC and State Civil Services Mains Answer Writing Practice from Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. The special part about this initiative is that you can not only discuss answer writing with us, learn with us, but also write your own answers and share them with us on the given email ID to be evaluated by our experts entirely free of cost. If you are new to this initiative, you can download the timetable till May 3rd from the link in the description below. So moving on, it's day 41 of Seize the Mains and our topic for today is from GS paper 1, Salient Features of Indian Society and Diversity of India. So before I display the question, make sure that you have a pen and a paper handy with you so that you can take notes throughout the lecture. You can download the PDF later on for this presentation, but you can take notes as we discuss, as we go through this discussion. Also, when you see the question, pause the video, note down what are the points that come to your mind, note down the structure of your answer. Try to build a structure here itself because that's how you will become confident about answer writing. So let's see what is the question. The question for today is, describe any 4 cultural elements of diversity in India and rate their relative significance in building a national identity. This question has to be answered in 150 words for 10 marks. This is a previous year UPSC mains question. Also send your answers, make sure that you send your answers to us in the next 24 hours so that we can evaluate and give back our feedback on time. And the email ID is this at which you have to send your answers. Now coming back to the question. So describe any 4 cultural elements of diversity in India. There are n number of cultural elements of diversity in India. If you have read Indian society in detail for mains, even if you have not read Indian society, this is a very general question and you can write down, take this question very well from your general knowledge part also. You can answer this without even having studied separately for Indian society. So describe any 4 cultural elements of diversity in India and rate their relative significance in building a national identity. So you have to talk about what is their significance or relative significance with respect to each other in building the national identity of India. So this is a very interesting question. First of all, what you have to do is find out 4 cultural elements which you will be writing in your answer. So note down the cultural elements which you have to write down and then talk about them. How do they affect the unity and diversity of India, or how do they shape the national identity of India? What are their positive impacts? How are they changing, or what are their negative sides? So first of all, as we always do, let's begin by writing an introduction. In our introduction, we can talk about diversity in India, or we can talk about cultural elements of diversity, or how cultural diversity is important in India. We generally introduce the answer by using the keywords given in the question. Whatever keywords have been given here, we'll paraphrase them and use our knowledge to address the introduction. So let's see what is the introduction for today. So we are talking about Indian society generally here, that India is a plural society both in letter and spirit. It is rightly characterized by its unity and diversity, a grand synthesis of cultures, religions and languages of the people belonging to different castes and communities has upheld its unity and cohesiveness despite multiple foreign invasions. So this talks about generally talks about the situation of India. What is the current state of diversity in India, or what are the elements of diversity in India? Now we'll use a linkage point, 1 or 2 lines, to introduce the cultural elements of this diversity, of this cohesiveness. So we'll very intelligently turn the direction of our answer towards the body paragraph by using this linkage point. So cultural diversity of India plays a great role in defining the national identity of India. The following are the 4 subsets of cultural identity in India. So national identity was a keyword used in the question itself. So don't keep repeating. Don't just go to writing down the points directly. Don't keep repeating the things. Use keywords from the question itself or paraphrase whatever terms have been given in the question and then use them in your answer. Moving on, let's see. These are the 4 cultural elements that we have listed down here. You can have other elements from your side also. Whatever you can relate with past and present, whatever the elements about which you can talk about positives and negatives both in a balanced way, use those cultural elements only. So the first one is language, the second one is festivals, traditions, food and clothing. You can either use one term for this. We have included all of these in one point. Don't write separate points for 4 of these because most of them have the same role to play. So the third one is religion and the fourth one is race or ethnicity. So these broadly cover the cultural elements of Indian diversity. So we'll start by defining language. We'll start by talking about language. Now see, this question had 2 parts to it. You also have to give the relative significance for each of these elements in defining the national identity of India. So what you can do is take 1 point at a time, give its definition and then give its significance in defining the national identity, then takes point number 2nd, point 3rd, point 4th. Or the other approach is that just define 4 of them here itself and then attribute a separate paragraph, body paragraph 2, where you can tell that how do they play a role in defining what significance they have in defining the national identity of India. So both ways are correct. Here we are taking the first approach because by taking the first approach we can address all the points there itself. We don't have to attribute a separate paragraph. We can just straight away write the conclusion after we have defined all these 4 points: language, festivals, traditions, cuisines and attires, religion, races. So first of all, we'll give a brief elaboration about the linguistic diversity of India, how many language or dialects are spoken and how it has benefited Indians. So see, language, it is a way of expression and the more ways we know of, the better we connect. That is how you start explaining. India is one of the most linguistically diverse countries, we know that. Most Indians are bilingual or sometimes multilingual and can effortlessly handle more than 1 or 2 languages. So that's a positive point. And now you can give some data that to be precise, India has 22 major languages written in 13 different scripts with over 1100 distinct dialects. See, this is a questionable thing. According to the latest census, it is more than 1100. So this is like you can use an approximate data. So the positive part about having so many languages is that they connect people, they connect different communities. Even when you've migrated from one place to another, you can directly connect to a person who speaks the same language as you do, and it also adds richness to the cultural diversity of India. Secondly, the amount of literature that we have, the quantity and quality of literature that India has from ancient to modern times is very high in number and of very good quality, which gives a way ahead to the future generations of our times. So having a good literature and having connections on the basis of language, so these are the positive aspects of having this linguistic diversity, and that's how this connection and the rich literature and richness of cultural diversity, this is how it imparts a separate definition to the national identity of India. On the negative side, we know that linguistic states, like reorganization of states, had to be carried out on the basis of language. Many a times there are protests against speaking of Hindi or making Hindi very much official. So that is something that we see from time to time. Also in many of the border areas of particular states, because in these border areas many people speak multiple languages. So we have conflicts on the basis of language in border areas, and regionalism also erupts out of these. So the positive aspect is these languages and dialects connect the people. We have vast literature from ancient to modern times, hence giving a better way of life to future generations. The negative part is they have also been a major source of conflict in the past, hence leading to the linguistic reorganization of states. Most often the linguistic tensions are being manifested in the border areas which are bilingual. Don't confuse them with international borders. These are state borders that we are talking about here. So here is the example of the state borders, and whatever the languages are a problem. What problems erupt on the basis of language? Language is never a problem. The belief systems of people are. So it has also been demanded to include English in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. Trying to have English as the only official language, or recognition or non-recognition of English, this is always an issue that comes from time to time, because there are so many languages spoken in India. Hindi is spoken by a vast majority of people, but it is not spoken by all of them. We recognize 22 languages according to, in the constitution, but there are so many dialects which are very rich in their literature, in their grammar, and have a very rich history, but they're not even recognized as of yet. So one language cannot be given that kind of importance. That is what is debated by speakers of non-Hindi areas or particularly English areas. So thus, on one hand, the linguistic diversity adds richness to the culture of India. It poses a major threat to the unity and existence of our country on the other. So you know that part, that how elements of cultural diversity, what is the significance of elements of cultural diversity in defining national identity of India. So this definition of language and plus this conclusion entirely sums up that how it forms the national identity of India in both positive and negative ways. So moving on, the next part is festivals, traditions, cuisines, attires, or you can give a miscellaneous subheading to it and include these points as subpoints or define all of them separately. So the backbone of their culture and are delicately preserved and followed. They are the backbones of culture. The way a certain kind of people or a certain community dresses up, the kind of festivals they celebrate, the kind of traditions that they have or the customs that they follow, or the kind of food that is cooked in their household, that is preserved from one generation to another, and that is what defines their cultural identity. So these festivals allow the identity of communities to transmit over generations. So now these are the effects, these are the dynamic changes that have come with time. Also this part will address that how it plays a major role in defining the national identity of India. So due to modernization, what is happening? Many belief systems are being questioned on the basis of scientific evidence. Whenever a festival is celebrated, we have so many WhatsApp statuses running or social media posts running which question the validity of these traditions or question the celebration of a particular kind of festivals. So due to modernization, concepts of westernization and urbanization, everything is being questioned. What is this creating? This is creating a situation of chaos between those who follow certain traditions or celebrate a certain kind of festivals and the non-followers who question validity of everything. So that is how it is shaping the national identity of India. So let me read this out for you. Due to modernization, many belief systems and traditions are deemed as redundant or backward looking. A scientific backing is demanded for everything. This creates a rift between old and new generations, east and west, and creates divisions between followers and non-followers of customs. On the positive end, what you can say is that more connectedness is there due to the coming up of modernization and especially social media. People from one part of the country can learn or know about traditions happening or cuisines being cooked in other parts of the country, or the attires that are being there. So many modern traditions are evolving. Many modern designers are coming up who are using the traditions of past or attires or cuisines of past and amalgamating them into the needs of our present. So the positive part is that it adds richness to the culture. It promotes tourism, the international tourism and as well as the national tourism. So especially during various festivals, fairs, etc. Indian cuisines are popular all over the world, not only for their taste but also for their scientific base, for their therapeutic benefits. It generates employment in small areas and due to the unique attires created or artistic heritage that these people are practicing. So this is how it forms the national identity, and this is how it benefits us. The third one is religion. Religion is something that we can debate about, we can write essays about. So while on one hand it provides multiple pathways, there are so many religions that are being practiced in India. So for a person seeking a spiritual connection or a better way of life, there are many religions and many religious philosophies prevalent in India. We openly talk about philosophies of our religion, we discuss them with people of other religions, but that kind of freedom is not there because the kind of religious divide, that compartmentalization is so tight and it is so hard to break that religion is a form of your cultural identity. It is not that fluid. and it is form of your cultural identity. This also leads to boastfulness of one's religion or the practices followed in one religion over the other. It also generates conflict, violence and hatred, especially in smaller areas where rigidity of religion is very high. And it also leads to political gimmicks. Political gimmicks or vote bank politics do take place on the basis of religion. So however, what has come up with urbanization and modernization is that religious identity is slowly taking a back seat, because what is taking the front seat? Economic growth or the power of intellect, that is taking the front seat due to urbanization. People from various religions in urban areas, in cities, are living together in high-rise buildings or things like that. They live comfortably in the neighborhood because economic growth is the topmost priority for them. So however, urbanization has brought us to a point where people from all religions stay together in cities. The modern city culture gives a backseat to religious divides, and economic growth and intellect take the front seat. Hence, chaos is low. But due to the advent of social media, what happens? People from different areas or from different religious backgrounds can just sit behind a computer and pass on their hatred over social media, and there is no legal backing for it. The comment that is being made or the comment that is being taken, so there is no legal backing or legal justification, because that is open to interpretation all the time. So that is the chaos that has come up with time, and that's how it is defining our national identity. The fourth one is races. Races can be a basis for discrimination or a basis for understanding that we are all diverse people from different races settled in a particular geographical boundary called the democracy of India. So India is home to major races of the world. These races have mixed with each other over hundreds of years to give rise to the present ones. This has allowed the existence of unique races in India. For example, Indo-Aryan races in India. You can talk about other races, talk about most of the races that are prevalent in India. So some areas haven't amalgamated well with other regions due to apparent differences in appearances, hence causing divisions, hatred, regionalism. Also talk about the positive part, that prevalence of or existence of different races is having in India. So this we'll go on to define in our conclusion, that because so much diversity is prevalent in India, especially on the basis of races, we don't have that much discrimination on the basis of races. Caste discrimination is higher in India as compared to racial discrimination, but Western nations have a lot of racial discrimination. So India, in these chaotic times, especially in times of international disorder, when one community wants to dominate the other community on the basis of geography, ethnicity, race, anything like that. So India stands as a ray of hope, because all the kind of cultural elements stay together in India. So the different cultural elements have allowed India to be seen as a country that respects all traditions and beliefs. This has reiterated India's commitment towards unity in diversity. Moreover, the existence of various forms of diverse culture in India has made India an example of tolerance and a torchbearer of hope in times of international disorder. You can also give these like examples of the recent Russia-Ukraine conflict or the Taliban conflict that we saw last year, or any such examples from Middle East countries. You can also give examples of these when you're talking about international disorder. Thus, cultural diversity, Black Lives Matter. That's a very good example. So thus, cultural diversity has an important role in shaping India's national identity. This sums up your answer. This is a 150 words question. We have given you the content that is relevant here, but when we are writing, when you are addressing a 150 words answer, you don't have to write full sentences, and also you want to give the kind of relevant all the content that you have in your brain to the examiner. So what you have to do is, don't use full sentences, just write the topic and using semicolons. Write different parts of that subtopic. Use different points or use semicolons while addressing your answer. Just use the keywords, the important terms. Don't use full sentences. So you can download the PDF of this presentation from the link in the description below. Also, the entire compilation of season 1, lecture 1 to 28 is there in the description below. Download it, keep it safe for quicker revision when you have mains around. And also just stay tuned, stay balanced, keep focusing on your studies, keep working hard, keep your prelims and mains preparation balanced, and all the best to you for all your endeavors.